Okay. Test, 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 test. Looks like we got microphone audio. All right. Hopefully we should have system audio. That was kind of an issue last time. I think the plugin I made kind of broke everything. But that's sort of the point, I guess. All right. Well, let's get started. So today we are continuing the Bitcrushing plugin that I started last time. It's a plugin made with the Arbor framework, which is a audio plugin framework that I'm developing, written in Zig. Currently a real work in progress, but it is at the point now where it's usable enough that you can make an actual plugin with a UI and load it in a DAW and start processing audio. So yeah, today I wanted to play around with adding some more state to the bit crushing process. I'd experimented with keeping one state variable, or it's one state variable per channel. But we could have it function kind of like an actual like biquad would, where you store the last input, the previous input to the sort of filter, and the previous output, and you sort of use that to I mean, in this case we would just sort of be messing around with how the bit crushing works. We could I'm not really sure what we would do, but yeah, so I wanted to try that out. I wanted to try implementing downsampling, so that would be like cutting the sample rate in half, or cutting it down by like cutting it to like 25% of what it is, or even by a factor of 8. And then try making a UI so we can have some sliders and buttons and stuff for our parameters. And yeah, there were some other things with UI that I wanted to mess around with. This would probably be, for a future stream, but that would involve like lowering the bit depth of the UI colors as we lower the bit depth of the plugin. We could also like downsample the UI as we downsample the plugin. So that, I don't even really know. I guess you could just like discard every other pixel, kind of like you would just discard every other sample in like a naive, deliberately aliasing downsampler for audio. So let's start thinking about these state variables here. We have a variable called Z, which is two state variables. We're storing it as a U32 because we do a bit cast here, where we cast the input floating point number to an unsigned 32-bit integer. So what I want to do is actually change this to Y so that it refers to the last output, and then just duplicate this as X. So we have an X and a Y. And so what that might sort of look like is we convert to integer here, and then we would say X at the channel index equals UX. And we have to say self because that's stored in our sort of user data. Right, and so now we kind of like, there's the question of like, how do we deal with these bitwise operators? Do we use the X or the Y, or do we do both? And so the way that like a biquad works is, I mean, roughly, this is just off the top of my head, is something like you take like one of your previous inputs. Let's just say it's Y, that channel is like the previous output of the filter. You multiply that by one of the coefficients. I think typically, conventionally, it's B. The B's are on the numerator for some reason. And then you subtract the previous input times a different coefficient. Okay, and then you also, that sort of gets factored into its own expression. And so it's like you do something like this. So you have the current input times a coefficient and the previous input times a different coefficient. And then you kind of do the same thing for the output expressions as well, where you'd have like a B, typically there's a B0, and then like a B1. And so it would kind of look like that. So in the world of bitwise operators, an addition is sort of like an OR, where you're combining the bits of two different values. And then a multiplication is sort of like a shift to the left. And then a subtraction, what would a subtraction be? There really isn't like a direct equivalent, of course. I mean, I guess a subtraction could be XOR in that case. But what we could do is just like apply each operation to each part of the sort of filter, I guess. So like if XOR is enabled, is this like a Reaper plugin or something? Yeah, it'll be a plugin for basically any DAW. Currently, I don't have audio units working, so you can't do like Logic or GarageBand. But yeah, like anything Reaper, Bitwig, Ableton. Not Pro Tools, because I don't know. I've never heard of Pro Tools. Yeah, so if we took the current input, which is UX, and then we XOR it against the previous input, and then we could also, let's see, we could then do UX XOR the previous output. I mean, yeah, I mean, that could be interesting. I don't know. The other thing we could do is like save that operation until the end, or not till the end, but till after like we do like all the inputs, all the like bit operations for the inputs, and then we do all the bit operations for the outputs. Could be kind of interesting. I don't know. I mean, there's no right answer here because we're just completely mangling and destroying our audio. I think I'm gonna do this for right now, where we just do bitwise operations in the inputs here. We check for bitwise not as well. And then we can say, we can do all this again. And just do the same bitwise operations on the, using the previous output. And then we can save the previous output here. Hey, Freyskin. Don't see the text changing in my edit. Ah, it's doing it again, dude. That's a bummer. Yeah, I feel like the macOS screen capture, you have to like make a new one like every single time. Okay. How are we doing now? Yeah, okay. I've got the stream open on my laptop here, and it yeah, I don't know. I guess I got to remember that for future future reference, that the macOS screen capture thing in OBS just dies periodically. But thanks for letting me know, and thanks for watching. All right, so yeah, this is what I was typing in the interim. I was basically just changing this from changing the bitwise operators here, so that we're doing it against like previous input here, and then we do previous output here. So now we kind of have these two state elements that we're doing bitwise operators with. No idea what that's going to sound like. It'll probably sound even more messed up and gross than it did previously, which, I mean, previously it was kind of violent. So let's go ahead and build this sucker. Don the helmet. And we'll go into Bigwig. Okay, let's try it out on this synth here. We have audio. Yes. Okay. So you can hear in the bit depth, you can hear a little bit of white noise there. And as I lower the bit depth, hopefully you can see that. Yeah, so I'm down here. So you lower the bit depth, you can hear it getting really crunchy and nasty. All right. So let's try enabling one of these bitwise operators. Let's try a bitwise XOR. We get nothing. Or? No. And no. Okay, if we enable clamp, sometimes that... Whoa, interesting. That like kind of bypasses the bit crushing. Interesting, yeah, it's like... Ooh. That's something. Hopefully I'm not blowing out your eardrums there. That sounds pretty cool. Interesting. So the bitwise not gets sort of more, digs into the signal a little more as you lower the bit depth. And if you lower the noise floor too much, it just like doesn't work. but these other ones aren't really doing anything if we have that extra state variable. But previously they usually, most of them did something. Yeah, that's interesting. Okay, so let's just try it without the state input. And see what that's like. Because frankly, I remember the result being a little better with that. If we only nodded XORed only specific bits of the integer. Yeah, that was something I was considering too, was like truncating. So like, yeah, like maybe you only get like an 8-bit portion of the 32-bit thing. Yeah, I don't know. There's so many options. I mean, I was thinking like you could build like a really cool UI where so let's what am I doing here? Okay. So I'm over in this window here. So like blow up the font a lot. So if you have, your bits, you could have like some kind of display that's like maybe not an accurate representation of the bits, but or well, you actually, I mean, you could honestly, because what you could do is just periodically you take that integer that we sort of grab in the processing function, you like copy that out to like the main thread or some kind of message thread or some kind of queue that lives in the plugin somewhere. And so you have those 32 bits, which to display it would be a lot because it's 32 bits, but you could display it as a hex pretty easily. That's a nice concise way of viewing 32 bits. And then I guess what you could do there is like, if you have some option, like where you can highlight like maybe individual like 8-bit portions, just sort of like with your mouse or something, it would be like, kind of like a button. And so like you could click on like an 8-bit chunk there, and then that would give you like an option to say XOR it, or to or to not, or to and. Punching their own bit mask. Oh. Yeah, that would be cool. Geez, yeah. Let me note that, because that is pretty sick. So that'll have to be like after we like actually have a GUI, but so let's see, parameter to enter a bit mask. Yeah, so I mean, what I'm thinking with this is like, yeah, you have like individual portions of like the input that you can select and apply like a bitwise like operator to. Yeah, there's a lot you could do. Do a square display and do an 8x4 rectangle. Oh, like oh, I see what you mean. Just like split up the display of all 32 bits. That'd be pretty cool. Yeah. So yeah, I guess we just have to like decide like what the what the actual like limitations would be. Like where do we draw the line as far as features? Like implementing an individual, like a global not XOR or is pretty cool. I'm wondering if it might be like kind of a cooler feature just to just do the like entering your own bit mask. Because actually, did I test out with just the oh, okay, I haven't actually tested these out yet without the input state. I'm just gonna give another listen to that and kind of like make a judgment call as to like okay, that kind of sounds the same. And this also does nothing. Did it even rescan? Because sometimes it's a little naughty about that. Dang. Okay, yeah, these are like kind of hard to like actually get to do something interesting. I might have to reload Bitwig too. Show off text input fields. Yeah. Yeah, that will need to be added to the library at some point. I'm wondering, like, in the back of my mind, how that would be done in Olivets, but I'm kind of like trying to not think about that because there's not really. Well, we have the ability to render text, and we have the ability to render rectangles, so we would just have to kind of stitch that together ourselves. Which wouldn't be. I don't think that would be too bad. There's okay, so this is what it sounded like before. That's an XOR. And bitwise OR doesn't really do anything. And doesn't really do anything. We do a not and an and, nothing. No. And then sometimes they just like don't do anything. There's like kind of an element of state there where it like hangs on to a certain bit or something. I'm not using SoCall yet. That is a sort of planned thing for the for doing like kind of official UI, not official UI, but like sort of production grade UI, I guess, would be, you know, having like a hardware accelerated UI backend that's cross-platform and stuff. Yeah, no, so I have an Olivets software renderer for this plugin, and it's available in the library right now. It's kind of like the only UI solution we have, but we can do, you know, basic like text display, like kind of basic UI widgets and stuff. You know, it has kind of a janky lo-fi look, which is kind of perfect for doing the Bitcrusher because it has this that sort of look to it. But SoCall is, I've got to figure out whether or not you can, like how feasible it would be to get it to like embed a window and then be able to like access the underlying, you know, like OpenGL context or DirectX or Metal context. So yeah, that's a little bit down the road. Although it could be sooner than I think. I don't know. I've been playing around with some SoCall stuff recently. Yeah, I'm not too like versed in like graphics programming, so it's sort of a learn as you go type situation. Um, okay, so these bitwise operators are like a little limited, I guess. They're not like you ideally you want to have like you want every feature to be very useful or to produce like an obvious and unique effect. And it's kind of difficult to get that out of all of these options. Um, yeah, so I think the like custom bitmask thing could probably have a lot of mileage. Um, I want to try kind of doing that ourselves, like real, just like kind of hack something together real quick. That would sort of be like kind of what a user might do. I have to refill my tankard at some point. Yeah, so the user would provide their own like bit mask, which would be some integer value between like 8 and 32 bits, I guess. We'd have to like find a way of, well, I mean, what we could do is, I guess, just like strongly type it as U32. And then we just don't let it like exceed that level. So like this is just a U24 right here. I'm just thinking about how that would work. Yeah. Like if the user inputs an 8-bit integer, like do we OR it? Do we do the bitwise operator against like which byte do we mask it against? Doesn't Zig have a bit literal? Oh, you mean the binary thing? Like this? Yeah, there's that too. I guess, I mean, they could provide either. We're going to have to like parse it. There is you can like parse, you can parse binary literals, you can parse octal literals, and you can parse hex literals with the standard library, which is pretty sweet. We'd have to just do some like, just check to make sure it doesn't exceed U32. So yeah, in terms of like which byte they're masking against, I don't know. That can be a problem we solve down the road. I think we can just sort of take their mask and just apply it sort of like directly to the input. And they would probably be able to like choose their operator. In this case, let's just say it's XOR because that produces the tastiest results typically. So we would say UX is UX XOR bitmask. So yeah, when you just have this kind of random integer here, C++ Clang can't even do floats from chars. Really? Isn't there a... Oh no, I was thinking of A to I is ASCII to integer. There's some kind of thing in libc, I think, for doing it. I don't remember what the function is. It has like a really unintuitive name. Stood from chars, but Clang doesn't have it for float types. Yeah, that's in C++. I'm thinking of there's something in libc that it's like a weird, like, esoteric name. Libc char to float. What is it? No. Stirtod? No. A to F? No, that's not. That doesn't. A to F. Is that it? I think there's one that also parses in scientific notation too, that has like a G in the name. I'm not totally sure, but I'm pretty sure there is something for that. But regardless, yes, Zig does have a very sick standard library where you can just parse an int unsigned, parse float. Yeah, man, Zig rules. I gotta say, I can't even use like C or C++ anymore after using Zig for a year or so. I wanted something that doesn't care about locales, and that's what you needed from chars. What do you mean locales? Like the specific formatting of it, or are there different? Yeah, I don't know. Decimal point differences. Oh, right. Yeah. And different ways of like the different points at which you notate, at which they would place, like a comma versus a decimal or something, is not really standard throughout the globe. Okay, so I'll keep clamp in there because that's a pretty fun parameter to have. All right, so let's just try the mask again with this random integer and see how that sounds. Whether or not we blow up our speakers, whether or not we die. Hopefully it reloads. Is it even doing it? No, again, I think we have to reload. Did you say in Reaper it'll reload the plugin if you like offline it and then load it back in? Because Bitwig used to be pretty good about reloading the plugin, and then it just sort of decided to give up, I guess. That's okay. Yeah, that's much different. Interesting. So as you lower the bit depth, it kind of gets, well, I guess it sort of is what you would expect, I guess. That sounds very, very juicy. Okay. Yeah, I think I'll have to switch to Reaper. Problem is, it just has, I mean, Bitwig is just a little easier to get something like up and running as far as like usable usable sound, usable like music, I guess. All right, let's branch on the operator now. And I will load up the one true DAW Kakos Reaper. You're going to see a license thing pop up. I have a license, I just haven't loaded it on this account. I will own a Reaper license until I'm in a grave. Okay. So we load up our, let's load up a synth so we can have some sound. You know, you have to actually put a synth in there for there to be sound. Yeah, I guess I'll just do like kind of a basic sine wave thing so we can really hear the harmonics. Let's transpose all this. Hopefully that, let me know if the volume is too loud. Looks like it might be a little too loud. Okay, and ooh, that sounds pretty cool. Man, instant chip tune. Okay, yeah. Okay, kind of the same thing. Okay, so if you OR it with your mask, it like doesn't really do anything. Huh. Bitwise and doesn't really do anything either. That's very interesting. I wonder, I mean, I'm just trying to think about why that is. Oh, I mean, we are just doing kind of a lame integer here. Let's see, how many bits is that? 2, 4, 6, 8. Okay, so you have to if I offline this, and then bring it online. I'm not sure if it reloaded or not. Or you have to say, select last touch active track. Oh, I don't know where that is. Yeah, really. Last touch active. I don't know where that, option is. I mean, unless you can do it from here. Track, select last touch track. Dip, 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 dip. I don't see it. So I can't just do it from here, though? From, like, by actually selecting the track? Oh, okay, wait, I have... Toggle last effects online, offline. Alright, yeah, my brain is starting to melt a little. So you can't just, damn it, I don't have my shortcuts either. Yeah, I mean, if you just offline it there, like... Yeah. Yeah, I cannot find that option. There's just too many options in the menu. Yeah. Okay. Let me just test this out to make sure it is actually reloading. Let's just zero it out. No. If I hard reload it. Nope. Yeah, I don't know. Do you have to do a rescan? Oops. That also is not working. macOS is not releasing the file handle. That could be. Yeah, because I do have different sort of behaviors when it comes to whether or not you're allowed to overwrite the file. Or like, you know, because in Windows you can't overwrite the plugin file if it's being used by the DAW. Were you doing that in macOS or in like Linux or something? I got a Windows. Oh, okay. I'm surprised it lets you save the plugin. Usually it complains. Take offline will let you. Oh, okay. Yeah, it must be because it like doesn't. There's a different. There's some difference with the like file handle on the operating system. But also Bitwig is not reloading either. So Christ, do I have to implement hot reloading today? Oh Lord. I was just experimenting with actually like learning how to do like dynamic library loading the other day. It'll pay off in the long run. It totally will. Yeah, I know. It's like that you kind of need hot reloading for UI or for audio processing. Um, that's just a fact of life, you know, living in the 21st century. Uh, okay. So, in light of our hosts not cooperating and in light of me wanting to make a moderately entertaining stream, let's try and implement hot reloading. I mean, it's not going to be that bad because we already export an entry, like a quote unquote entry point for our user plugin, and that provides an interface that gets called within the sort of other the framework's plugin context. So it'll just be a difference of like whether we link this at compile time or whether we load that as a dynamic library. So I'm going to go get some water and yeah, then we'll get started on hot reloading because you know, yeah. Uh, all right. BRB. Boink. See if it autofocuses. Maybe. That's good enough, I guess. All right. We've already been going for like an hour. Hopefully we can get at least a hot reloaded plugin going today. Yeah, so that might involve like some refactoring of like how the library works. As far as like how we load the plugin, because we're gonna have to implement, you know, actually loading the functions and stuff. So hopefully that's a decent text size. It's way too big for me, but I want people to be able to see it. So we're gonna have to go into the build system here and look at how we're generating the plugin library. So I guess one thing we want to do is like give ourselves an option at the, I don't know if it'll be in the config that we pass or in like on the command line. I guess it would probably be easiest if we just specify that here. We can just do that for now. I'm also not going to do this on the master branch. All right, make a new branch for hot reloading. Like responsible adults. So hot reload can be like an optional option. So if it's null, then we'll just not implement it. So we get the config passed in, we create the base module, we create the UI. Okay, so now we want to check if hot reloading is enabled or not. So if config hot reload, let's store that here so we can unwrap the optional. So if hot reload is set, we set it to that, or else by default it's false. So if hot reload, we will not add a static library, we will add a shared library. I think I have to like not put these in brackets too, so that we can actually use this as like an expression. Okay, so it's going to pretty much have all the same stuff. And I guess I'll use position independent code. Okay, so we add a shared library. All right, I feel like I'm messing up Optimize. Config optimize. Yeah, so, okay. So if this is set now, user plug is a dynamic library. And what we need to do is give the root module a path to the dynamic library so that we can load it. And I think, I mean, the best way I've come up with to sort of give the, sort of like propagate a path that's generated like with the build system, we basically have to pass the path like as a configuration option, like using build options. I guess that would get a little weird because we don't pass build options to the user plugin. We just pass it to this plugin here. Okay. Yeah, so that's fine. Okay, so after we make the user plugin, we'll add an option, path called, I don't know, user lib. And the path is going to be the user plugin, the emitted binary. And so what that will do is basically when the user plugin gets built as a dynamic library, its output path in the actual like cache directory of the build will get propagated to this option user lib, and so we can actually access that from within the base plugin. Although I'm wondering if I want to access it in the base plugin or... So we need there to be some sort of way of triggering a reload, basically. I'm wondering how we would do that. Because you kind of need... I think you need like UI or some kind of input. I mean, we could just check if the file has changed. Because we're not running any other timers. The UI will run its own timer, but it's not like a game where we have like an obvious sort of event loop. And I don't think I want to call library loading from like within the audio thread. I mean, that's certainly possible. But it might kind of mess up performance. So, let's see. We open up like the main file here. So like we have this init function. Why is the font rendering all gross? It's always weird, like artifacts. So I mean, like in this init function, that would be kind of an obvious place to... Although this is, the expectation is that this is called from the user's init function. Yeah. Yeah, which is kind of like a weird chicken and egg scenario. because from like a specific plugin wrapper, when the plugin is actually initialized, we call the user's init function with the expectation that they will call the main init function, which generates a plugin based on information that the user provides. And that information is like, that's necessary for generating our plugin. We rely on certain things being kind of generated. I mean, like having the parameter info and stuff generated here is is necessary to how the plugin is going to work. I'm trying to think if there's like another point somewhere in the plugin's lifetime where we can kind of check for check whether the library change or trigger some kind of reload and then reload the function pointers. What can be hot reloaded, by the way, is in do VST 2.3 clap support changing numbers of parameters? Clap does. I think VST3 does. Like at runtime. I don't even think you need hot reloading for that. VST2, no. I think they want to know your number of plugins, like when the plugin is like loaded initially. The main thing I want to hot reload is like the user's process method. I mean, that's really the main thing. It's just like, what are we doing in the process function? So that we can get a new function pointer and every time the user changes this file. And then that would come in handy in UI too, where we can reload their render function. And I mean, you would want to reload the you'd probably want to reload like the init function too, so that if they do any layout in init, you want that to be reloaded. Then you kind of have to like destroy the UI and recreate it. But we're not dealing with UI hot reloading right now. So I guess, I mean, the main thing that we really want to reload is like it's kind of just this interface, but I don't want to switch it so that the interface that we have to export all of this from the user's end, because exporting this init function should be good enough. So we have to have like some kind of I don't know if it would be like a built-in parameter that would trigger hot reloading. Or we just like do it on a loop somehow. Where like if hot reloading is enabled, then we spawn a timer. And we pull for modification M time changes to the dynamic library that was exported. So I do have a timer that I made and didn't use for anything. And the idea was that this was going to be used to draw UI, because the clap timer, I was using the clap timer to sort of push the UI along. But we could just sort of rework this to look for changes to the dynamic library. Clap has a dedicated trigger type of parameter. GUIs are supposed to render those as buttons in the generic UI. Oh, really? A trigger type of parameter. Oh. What's what is that? Is that in the like parameters like file? Like see, I don't think I have it on here. Draft trigger. Oh, so it's like kind of a new extension that they're working on. Extension enables the plugin to expose. Oh my god, GitHub, dude. Expose a set of triggers to the host. Some examples for triggers. Trigger an envelope, which is independent of the notes. Trigger a sample and hold a unit. Maybe even per voice. I don't know what that means. Does this trigger support per note automations? Support per key automations, per channel, per port. Okay, so it just sort of like will trigger an event, and it's kind of like up to you what that does, and you can just sort of pull for that event in your regular event queue. I think the issue with this though is that like we need the host to support it, right? Yeah, clap host. Whoops, what the heck was that? Clap host triggers. Rescan the full list of triggers according to the flags. Clears references to a trigger. Support of the flags. Clear all or clear automations. Right, so like the idea is like this will be used kind of like for MIDI stuff, like triggering some kind of like triggering just some sort of effect which may or may not correspond to a MIDI note or a specific key. Or I mean, when they say channel, I think they're kind of referring to MIDI channel. I guess they could be audio channel though. I don't know. What is tuning? Tuning. I feel like so much of this is like geared towards relative tuning and semitones. So much of like plugin stuff in general is geared towards like synthesizers, and I'm just like, I just know so little about synthesizers that I feel like kind of I don't know, kind of like a caveman who's been brought to like the height of like ancient Egypt or something, and they're doing like, you know, magic, and you're just kind of like drooling all over yourself. I mean, this is interesting though, and seems pretty useful, and I hope it gets implemented soon. I guess you'd probably expect it to be included in Bitwig sometime soon, and then Reaper is usually pretty quick to like add stuff, I think. I thought it was supposed to be something like your plugin has a button that can randomize parameters, but exposing it as a slider is unintuitive. Okay. That would make sense, yeah, because that's like that button functions not like a parameter. Like it's like a trigger, a feature that'll be on the UI that will trigger an event. And yeah, I guess so. The idea of what they're supporting is like that'll be built in to the plugin API rather than you having to like fully implement that yourself. Because otherwise, yeah, in something like Juice, like you just sort of make like a UI button and not hook it up to a parameter. And then, that it just has a callback when you click on it. And then you just sort of like have to hook all that up yourself. And yeah, something like randomizing parameters or something like that is like you don't really want to expose that as like a separate button, I guess. But yeah, I think that doing this timer thing will probably work for now. We just have to spawn this when the plugin is created. And then we'll need to check the files modification time and sort of like store that. Right, so we have our callback, we have our plugin, a handle to the plugin. I don't think this needs to be mutable for now. Or if I got rid of the old timer callback. Yeah, I think I did. Okay, so we'll just have this hold on to like the last M time of the file. I think they give it to you as a U size. Not exactly sure. So I think what we'll do from here is when the global initialize thing is called, oh, this isn't necessary. So we'll hold on to a timer. Init, this takes an allocator. And what else? No definition found. Come on, dude. So it takes an allocator. Okay, time in callback time in milliseconds. We really don't need to check that often. I feel like every half second is like more than enough. And then it takes a callback. Let's just stick that right here. The timer callback will just take a pointer to ourselves. And then the last parameter is a reference to the plugin itself. Should this hold on to the M time or should the plugin? I guess there's no reason to have the timer. The timer itself is just responsible for calling us at a regular interval. So really we should just give ourselves the, so this will be like user lib M time. So we have to, let's see, access a file, or we actually just want to just open it for reading. Open a file, and we have to get that path from the config. Okay, so yeah, so we added this option which has a path to the generated library. So we have to, in the base module, what is it called? Module? We need to add options. We already have the options added, right? Module add options, config, build options. Yeah, okay, yeah, so it's already going to be in there. So the user lib path is config user, what is it? User lib? Probably have to come up with a better name, but who cares? So we open user lib path. Catch any errors that it throws. And if it throws an error, we'll just return. Okay, so now we have file handle. And so we want to stat this bad boy. You have to catch an error on in the event of a bad stat, I guess. Okay, so then we have our stats of our file. So we want to compare the M time. Oh, it's an I-128. Okay, yeah, it's in nanoseconds. So very, very high precision. So if our user lib M time doesn't equal stats M time, we got to reload the lib. So we'll make this an I-128. So now we have to, we're going to reload the user's init function. And then we have to like reassign our interface. Oh, I mean, we kind of have to call. We don't have to reassign our interface manually because the user does that for us by calling our init function. So we really just have to reload the user's init function and then call it, I guess. I guess the question though is like, do we have to deallocate ourselves? Because the user calls this, which allocates a plugin, and then stores all the information that we need to actually run the plugin, including the timer itself. I feel like it's kind of an Ouroboros. Like they kind of, yeah, you almost have to like have, you almost have to have the user export these functions themselves if it's a dynamic library. Which leads to a whole other like host of issues where Ouroboros crusher. Yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah, it'll crush your brain. It'll reduce the bit depth of your brain. I'd say right now I'm working with about 5 bits, and it's being lowered every day. It's going down. we can't export these functions because then we have to use the C calling convention, which means we have to like rewrite this audio buffer types to use like multi-pointers instead of slices. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing it. So how do we solve this? Okay. Well, one thing that is happening currently is that we haven't, our timer is currently leaking because we didn't de-init the timer. In our plugin de-init function. So we can keep the timer alive. We're going to keep the timer alive and reallocate the plugin and then just like point. We have to have a way of keeping the pointer to the timer like alive outside of the plugin though. Because right now it's just, you would just have like a dangling reference to the timer. If you de-init the plugin without freeing the timer, it's just going to be existing on the ether, and we have like no way of hanging on to it. So, I mean, we could just cheat and be evil. Oh, this is so bad. Oh, it's so naughty. A global reference to the timer that is by default undefined. We can like cache that. We can just hang on to that by like copying a reference to the plugin's timer here. So then if we need to reload the library, we user lib path, open it right up here. Might be kind of nice if we allow errors to happen in the timer callback, just because I'm kind of getting tired of typing catch and then this whole ceremony here. Okay, so we have our library here. So we have to look up the init function. Init. So if it's null, that is an error. Init not found. Otherwise, we have the init function here. I don't know if we have to keep this alive outside of this or not. I mean, it's just kind of a one-shot thing where we call the user's init function and then we just get a pointer to the plugin. Oh boy, okay. So we have the init function. So we need to deallocate the plugin. I don't know how this is going to work. This, like, de-initting the plugin. Well, because this happens sort of like the plugin, like, wrapper type. So, like, the clap plugin type is still alive. We're just de-initting the inner sort of user plugin. So it should be fine. So we want to call self de-init. And then call the init function. Which has no, yeah, this will just return us a new plugin. Here. Yeah, I feel like this should probably be like a separate, I'm not sure if we have to like define a separate function pointer or if passing it like that is fine. I guess we'll find out. Okay, so we init the new plugin. Which is going to initialize a new timer, which we don't want. Also, do I have to call timer start, or is it start on its own? It does, yeah, because we just spawn a thread which calls timer loop. Wait a minute. Should I just do this all in the timer loop and not care about the callback? I mean, I know like we're providing a callback so that it's like the timer can be generic, but because I wrote this for like a different purpose initially. And that kind of like spares us from having to like hold on to, the timer doesn't have to hold on to a reference to the plugin. And we could init the timer kind of separately. Like we call, you almost want to like parameterize whether or not okay, no, we can't initialize the timer in this function because this is directly tied to the function that we're reloading. Yeah, we almost have to call this like at the level of the plugin wrapper, I guess. Because that, you know, I mean, the timer has to live kind of outside of the context of the user-specific plugin data, which this mostly is. So let's get rid of that naughty global reference, which I didn't write. That was never there. Okay, yeah, so we'll just have to like move this. Sorry, I am going to decrease the font. I'm having trouble with the massive baby font here. Okay, so let's just implement it in clap for now. We'll make a timer called, well, it's called a timer. And this will get initialized upon initialization of the clap plugin. Right, so we create our plugin. And we need to, I think the timer would live here, right? So Arbor timer init, 500 milliseconds, and then we gotta move the timer callback. We could just leave this here. And we'll take a, what do we want a pointer to? We almost want a pointer to the outer plugin type. And so we have to make this like, you know, any opaque. And so then this reference to the plugin probably can't be const. Yeah, so that's what the plugin is going to be. And then the callback will provide or take in any opaque as a parameter. I guess the issue though is that we have to we kind of have to specifically implement that per format so that we can cast to our specific type and then set the like interior plugin data, or well, it wouldn't be plugin data in this case, but it would be the other plugin pointer that we have. Okay, we'll move this timer callback. I'm gonna put it right here. Who cares where it is? Timer callback, and the plugin will be the clap plugin in this case. Okay, so now we know when we get called here that this pointer is going to be, let's call this pointer. This pointer is going to be a pointer to a clap plugin. Yeah, so we get that pointer here, and we don't even really need to cache it like that. We can just say self plugin equals the result of this init function. We don't want to call that. We want to call self plugin. Oh, we have to check if it's null, which it shouldn't be. I may actually, yeah, I may end up refactoring that so that this isn't an optional. The only reason it's an optional is because I like defer creating the specific plugin type until like this init function up here. There's not really any reason for that though, because it's like there's this init function, and that's kind of the main thing where you like query your host extensions, but there's not really any reason we need to allocate the user plugin here rather than, you know, in the create plugin function in the plugin factory. Doot, 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 doot. But regardless, that doesn't really need to be addressed right now. We just need to, yeah, give ourselves this timer callback to add latency and tail reporting to the host yet for clap. There's I have the extension, but it's like if plug has field. Oh, what am I doing here? Has field latency. Interesting. I mean, the short answer is like basically not. Was that something that you were looking for? Because yeah, that's like one of those very easy things that like I could have implemented, but I just haven't gotten around to it because I haven't had a need for it yet for any of the plugins that I've made. I haven't implemented anything to do with tail. I mean, the stuff, the basic sort of stuff is there for latency. I just have to, this needs to be refactored to, it would be a pretty simple change. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of weird. I don't know when you get called as far as when the host calls you for get latency. Probably like once or twice on initialization. Create plugin init after querying extensions. Yeah, I don't really know. I think one thing you can do probably is, let's see, so I have the host latency extension as part of the clap plugin. It doesn't really get used anywhere, but one thing you can do in like, I don't know, if you're somewhere in your like event loop or something, I think you can say plugin host latency, assuming you unwrap it, you can call host latency changed, and this will like let the host know like, hey, like my latency changed. And then what that will do is trigger the host to call get latency from you. But what I need to do is actually forward the user's like latency, the latency that they set to like the information in this plugin. And what I do here is like kind of this doesn't work. This is like not, this is crap. We need to give the user like some way of passing latency. Could be, I don't know if the description is a good place for that. We either want to extend the configuration in some way or give like the user some way of just saying like, blah, you know, I have latency. They want latency changes not in process. The plugin must be deactivated. Oh, okay. So they like want you to be like super, like they want to make sure that you're not processing audio and the latency changes. So I think you have to, there's some other thing you have to do then with like calling the host to like let you know that you need to be deactivated. Yeah, so I guess there's probably a few more things I have to do to like actually allow that to be implemented, and like kind of give like an easy way for the user to do that. And it probably could be something where like, clap info doesn't see your latency. Yeah, Reaper is pretty loose as far as like adhering to the I don't know, the specs, I guess. Like they'll kind of tolerate anything. Yeah, I'm not exactly sure what it is. There's something kind of going on behind the scenes where they seem to just sort of make things like just work. But I have a feeling other hosts are a little different. Yeah, I think you probably need to call. I forget what it is. I think there's some sort of callback for the host where you can say that like you need to stop processing, and then in there you would say that your latency has changed. I'm not really sure. I'll get around to it. But I I have to think about like if there's like an easy way, what an easy way to provide the user of this library a way of like changing and reporting their latency. There'd probably be something like a init where you'd provide like a latency. And then there should be like just like a simple function, just like Arbor, you know, I guess change latency or something like that. And what that will do is like end up propagating. Yeah, you'll steal from me when I do. Yeah, it'll no guarantees on when that'll happen, but it will. Because we're eventually going to have to provide like, you know, oversampling and like FFTs and stuff. And so you're going to want latency compensation to be like a part of the library. But yeah, like this change latency function like this would have to, I guess, send some kind of message to the host that you need to stop processing and then change the latency. But yeah, so it looks like we're good to go we set the new plugin here in the timer callback. I guess we want to close the dynamic library. Yeah, okay, so then we reload our plugin, and then we should have the new interface from the user. And everything should be good. I don't really know. I mean, because we're doing kind of a hairy thing here where we deallocate a pointer and then just like reassign it. I'm sure some people would say that's dangerous, but that's life, you know? Ooh, this doesn't have the new channel thing. Where did I add that? Oh, I think that was in the other branch. Yeah, and just a little aside, there is like tentative, very incomplete VST3 support in another branch outside of the master branch. So feel free to check that out. I was doing a ton of work on that the past few days, which is why I haven't really been streaming other stuff yet. But I do want to like, when I get into really like making VST3 like actually, you know, have like feature parity with the other formats. I'll probably stream that because the other stuff I did was super hard, and I couldn't have. It's one of those things you can't really do if somebody's watching, you know. Yeah. Are you making your own framework too, or are you just like doing sort of your own plugin thing? All the worst practices. That's good to hear. You definitely don't want to do best practices. I feel like most quote unquote best practices are kind of lame. All right. Oh, I think we need to call. Yeah, so if we, oops, if we see that the library is modified and we need to reload it, not only do we need to deinit this plugin, but we also need to deinit the user pointer as well, because that's going to get reinitialized too. So we deinit, whoops, we call the deinit function pointer, then we call the broader deinit, and then we reload the pointer. Okay, I'm curious how this will not work. You're doing it for a guitar amp plugin too. Oh, nice. You're 3 years behind. Oh, are you like kind of just starting out with DSP stuff, or? Yeah, because I've only been doing this for 3 years, so. But yeah, the amp plugin was also the first thing that I did. And you're not even. Are you just skipping Juice and you're just going straight to like implementing Clap directly? Which that if so, that's pretty cool. I would have like not had any idea what was going on there. All right, let's frickin' build it, dude. No step name copy. Oh my god. DSP for about a year and enough plugins now. I feel like it's time to polish them up and release them. Oh, cool. Yeah. I learned Juice and made a plugin, and like, you know, the first thing I released like the very first thing I made, which was like, you know, for better or worse, but I yeah, I don't know, I just kind of want to get something out there and just sort of get rolling on it. But yeah, that's cool. Definitely let me know when you release them. I'd like to check them out. And I'd love to do more guitar amps too. That's a very fun thing to play around with. VST2 and Clap. Okay, yeah. VST2 is so much better. VST3 is like not necessarily as bad as you might think after looking at like the API, but it's not great. It's kind of shit. Yeah, and SoCal too is SoCal is awesome. All right, so it didn't detect my copy step for some reason. It just decided that a copy step doesn't exist anymore. Oh, because I'm in the wrong folder. Error. Dependency loop. Oops. Uh-oh. How do we get out of the dependency loop? I don't even know what I'm looking at here. Oh, I think we don't want to link the library if or if so if not hot reload, we link the library. Still a dependency loop. So I think it's because we're adding the plugin path as a emitted, we're adding the emitted path of the user's library to the build options module. And then the build options module is included and it's included in these two places. It's included in module, which module gets imported by the user plugin. So it's like we kind of I wonder if we just need to make the the path to the user lib be its own set of options. So we'll make like a new options thing called like dynamic options. So we really only need dynamic options in the like specific plugin, the shared library here. Options. So we'll make this one dyne options. So we import the config and we also import dyne options. Okay, so that might get rid of our dependency loop. It might. Let's see. Oh, this needs to, we need to catch any errors that might occur. And we'll return null here. Okay. And then there was one other thing. The user lib m time. Okay, we didn't give ourselves a pointer, or we didn't give ourselves that information. That's an I-128. We'll just make it 0, I guess. Yeah. Did it not work? Expected a type, found a function. Okay, so do we want to pass like a pointer to that function, or do I have to specify an actual like function pointer? Expected type, found a pointer. So I think we need to say type of a pointer to that function. Plug interface unit. Oh, this takes a pointer to the plugin. And we, for some reason, we didn't make this a pointer. Okay, it worked. But will it work? Okay, all right. Man, that would be sick if this worked, because it's been almost 2 hours, and I was really hoping to not go too much over 2 hours and have like some solid progress. So, but if we can implement hot reloading, yeah, that should really accelerate this. All right, so let's get rid of the UX equals 0, and we'll just build it like normal. Wait. I just remembered that I didn't. So in the build config, now we take that build option. So here we have to specify explicitly, hey, I want hot reloading. Now let's build it with hot reloading enabled. Let's see what happens. Doesn't work. Okay, so when building the dynamic library, we don't have pointers. We don't have the symbols for the GUI functions. Let's just focus on clap here, because VSD 2 is like just not going to work because we haven't bothered with the timer or anything. Let's see. So it can't find the init function. It can't find POSIX FD, and it can't find GUI render. Yeah, because it expects those functions to be extern. And I mean, in the case of, okay, you know what? I don't think we need to. When I took out the like linking, I don't think we need to take that out, because we want to like know that those symbols exist, but we also want to reload them. I honestly don't know. I'm pretty new to loading dynamic libraries. Okay, now we build. Oh my God. Okay. Let's don the helmet. Let's do a rescan for a good measure. Okay, it's working. Okay. Now, if I set in the like user plugin code, if I set UX to be 1, or if I set UX to be 0, that should like totally, let's just eliminate all this other stuff that we're not using, we don't care about. So if we set UX to be 0, it should sweaty palms. Yeah, man. I feel like I'm walking a tightrope here. Haven't hit any of these to-dos. Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's all right. That's all right. We got sidetracked by the necessity to implement hot reloading. Okay, so if we set UX to be 0, if I copy the plugin, I build the new plugin and let's see. That's not doing what it should be. Do I have to reload the whole plugin? I think, all right, I need to, so I don't think it's working. We got to debug the timer callback probably. Let's just stick a breakpoint in here. And we'll attach a debugger to Reaper. I'm gonna go ahead and just close Reaper for now. Let's make sure we've got a fresh session. I'm gonna have to fire up another compelling and emotional synthesizer thing. I don't know if it'll be as good as the last one. That was fire, as the kids say. Oh. That just ain't it. That's okay. That's okay if you add a little like effect to it, but we need to focus on the task at hand, which is okay. So I think we hit our breakpoint. Oh no, we didn't. So cannot find DLL main and CF bundle. Missing symbol called. In init, okay. How do I... So I called Arbor plugin init, which is allegedly not... Oh. So I have to... we have to like load the library here, load the function pointer here, and then call it. Yeah, okay. I'm wondering why it like didn't. Oh, okay, because it didn't crash before because it just like didn't have. It wasn't actually like loading the new version of the plugin. All right, I'm gonna run to the young men's room real quick, and then let's see if we can get this actually working in a decent amount of time. Okay. So close. I know. Yeah, hot reloading is going to be sick once we actually have it. So we kind of just have to mirror the what we're doing in the timer callback. Yeah, and ideally this would be behind like a not a Zig's version of a preprocessor thing where we check like if config hot reload, but we don't have that option right now because I'm just flying by the seat of my pants trying to implement something for the sake of entertainment, etc. So load dynamic library, and that is dynamic options user lib path. Catch the error if the error happens. And then, I don't know, return false, I guess, if there's an error. Okay. Defer, dynamic lib close. And then so we want to look up a type of Arbor plugin init. It will be called init. Not fond. Not fixing that typo because I'm going as fast as I can here. As fast as my arthritic old hands will allow. I may not look it, but I'm 50 years old. So now we have our init function here, and then we can say clap plugin equals init function. Unused capture. Oh yeah, that doesn't actually throw an error. Doesn't catch, that's an or else. Okay, so now we call the init function that we loaded from a dynamic library. That should be it. What is it called? Dyne options user lib. Oh. That should be, it should have path in the name because it is for a path. Root struct of file options has no member named user lib. What are you talking about? Am I losing my mind? Oh, it doesn't have an E in it. Okay, yeah, I mean, the name really is very stupid. Okay, unable to resolve comp time value. Why would it need to be comp time? Argument to function being called at comp time must be comp time known. This isn't called, what? Wait, where am I? 497. Is it because I'm calling type of? Expression is evaluated at comp time because the generic function was instantiated with a comp time only return type. Okay, interesting. All right, it worked. Let's rerun the Grim Reaper. And let's just see if we can like instantiate the plugin without crashing. No. Or maybe we hit our breakpoint. We hit our breakpoint. That's awesome. Okay, so if we continue, are we gonna live? Yes. We hit our breakpoint again. We're not, ooh. Okay, so close, so close. In the timer callback, we need to save the last modification time. So self user lib mtime equals stat mtime. Otherwise, you're just going to keep reloading it every time you call back, and your program will fart and crap its pants. Okay, come on, come on, come on. Oh, we hit the, I have to remove the breakpoint. Okay, we have a loaded plugin. I think technically it shouldn't produce audio because I still have it zeroed out. So moment of truth. All right, pray for me. I'm not hearing any audio. Okay. Now, can I modify it to produce audio? And we should hit the breakpoint. We should hit the breakpoint if it successfully detects that this file is modified, etc., etc. Audio is optional, absolutely. Zig build. Did we hit the breakpoint? No. Is anything happening? Did we hit the breakpoint now? Okay. So in order for it to reload the dynamic library, we have to do that off. We have to offline the effect. I hit continue. It failed. Memory read failed. The timer callback crashed, I guess. So upon calling dinit, it crashed. So the plugins interface. I mean, so dinit is a valid pointer. Well, yeah, I don't know what happened. But there's some invalid memory access going on there. Okay, so I wonder if the problem though is like that because I offlined the effect, like it can't actually load any of these things because the effect is offline. I'm not really sure because it's like these are all like valid addresses. You know, like the plugin is valid. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not exactly an expert in this field, so this is kind of new to me. And I'm not sure what might be happening here to cause this. But it kind of feels like having to offline the effect is not going to be like a viable, or not viable, but it just seems like that would kind of mess with the, I don't know, like the memory of the actual plugin. Okay, so it is Bitcrushing now. Nice. All right. Let's modify it. Yeah, it's not I don't know. Yeah, there was for whatever reason it's not replacing. I mean, what we're doing is like kind of shitty, right? I mean, like we're just like deallocating like just killing the plugin from this timer thread, and then just trying to reload it and like hoping everything else will work from there, which is not. I don't know why I thought that would work. So what if we just get the interface, and I mean at the very least the like processing function from that interface so that we can reload that. How would we do that? So so we don't have to do this like deallocating our current plugin thing. We could store the new plugin returned from the init function here, and then basically just like well, okay. If self plugin plug, so just copy the interface, and then just de-init the new plugin when we're done with it. But that's going to get rid of the. Is that going to get rid of the pointers to the interface? I have no idea. I don't really know how this stuff works. When we call de-init, we de-init the DC blocking filter, and we destroy a pointer. We destroy the pointer to this plugin. Or we destroy the pointer to this. our user plugin, which just holds this data. The interface is returned in this pointer. And then we just copy the interface by value in the timer callback. Yeah, this seems like a very wrong way of doing it, but I just don't know the right way. Again, hopefully the volume is okay. Okay. Audio is muted. Right. So let's get rid of that and then run the rebuild. And we have nothing happen. Okay. And so if I deleted the plugin like that, we crash. Because this pointer is not going to be valid now because I deleted the fucking thing. Yeah, part of that is we have to we have to get the timer thread to join with the with this thing, with the clap plugin when we're done. So where's our destroy function? So call dinit on the timer there to make sure it wraps up. Where's the timer callback? So yeah, I mean, I want to figure out why it's not, what's actually happening here as far as why it's not reloading the function pointers, or why, if it is reloading the function pointers, why is that not having any real effect? Okay, so we hit the breakpoint currently. Okay. And it is indeed crushing those bits. Let's try muting the audio. Yeah, there's nothing as far as actually it just doesn't see the file as being modified, I guess. Ooh. Didn't take offline or reload either. Yeah. It's just weird though, because it like should be, it should be not relative to, like Reaper only sees the plugin that's like copied here, you know, and it goes in and it loads this binary. But we've built this little library here. Oh, that's actually, where is the output? It's going to live somewhere in the cache, I guess. Is it actually replacing the file though? That's a good question. That is a good question. Because you know what? When we build the plugin, we add the shared library, we add the emitted binary path as a build, as like an option. Yeah, I mean the file that it's replacing is Reaper. Reaper isn't really accessing it directly. It's it should be just the plugin that's seeing the dynamic library that we're building, which is like the user's code. So Reaper shouldn't have any like say on what happens there. But it could be an issue where like the plugin is like not actually seeing the new path. Oh, and yeah. Because every time we build, every time we rebuild this, that's going to get put into like a new path in the cache of our build folder. So when we add the path as an option, that path gets like baked into the like static, not the static, it gets baked into the main plugin binary that Reaper is seeing, the actual sort of guts of the plugin. And so it thinks that it's looking at the last time that we compiled this. So we have to give it, we need to make it look at the same path every time. And so in that case, we probably need to install it into zig out and have it always look in zig out. I think that's going to be the thing that we have to do. All right. So yeah, let's go ahead and just say build install artifact user plug, or do we want to say b add install artifact so we can get that artifact as a as sort of like a dependency. User plug, don't care about no options, or do we? No, because it's just like the default like install path of zig out / lib. So this would be the installed user plugin. And so instead of adding an option path, I think we want to add an option artifact called user lib. And we'll add, oh, this is deprecated, use artifact get emitted bin. Okay, no, I don't want to do that. Okay, so if I look at user, the installed thing, what do I have available? Dest subpath. Emitted bin. I think that's what I want. I think we want the well, the subpath is going to be relative to the build directory. So like the plugin, the installed plugin that's running in the host is not going to be able to see it. But emitted bin is optional, which kind of sucks. I kind of want to just like hard code this just to prove that it works, because the build system can be kind of a pain in the ass to navigate around. Okay, so we have that plugin installed. If I just run the build, this will probably be something like zig out lib lib. What do I call it? Oh, it's going to overwrite it, isn't it? I don't think that that's like what is happening. Let's just call this the user lib. I think it'll be called lib user lib dot dilib. And of course, like the aim is that we don't have to navigate around these specific path names, and that we can just use the build system to kind of automate the pathfinding, but it's really hard to figure out. So here we are. Zig out lib user lib dot dilib. So just try building it and then just verify that the library is in zig out. Lib user lib dilib. Okay. So now the main issue here is that it's relative to the build directory, so we kind of want to say like dev arbiter zig out blah blah blah, and then the same thing in the timer callback. This is programming, folks. Hard coding paths. I bet you have no idea how much your favorite software is written like this. Photoshop, all over the place. Okay, let's just see what happens if we do that. So let's restart Creeper. And if I don't get this soon, I'm gonna have to call it quits and figure it out some other time, because I can't just, unfortunately, can't go all day trying to figure this out. All right. It didn't load. File not found. Okay. Interesting. Oh, it's not going to expand the stream. It's not going to expand the home directory thing. Oh boy. Do we have a crash? We hit the breakpoint. So what does that mean? Means we're in our timer callback and we reloaded the interface. Continue. All right, it's a working plugin, sort of. It's not crashing, so that's cool. Let's load up the synthesizer. Okay, so it's not producing audio. Okay, so it's currently muted through the process callback. Delete that line, save, reload. Okay, looks like we hit our breakpoint again. It didn't work. Yeah, I mean, like, it works as far as, like... Yeah, I know, damn it. It works. I mean, it's like it doesn't crash, but something about, like, loading up the plugin interface like that, it doesn't like it. All right, let's see if I can get it to... let's just, like, make it not all the time. Unused local constant. Oh my god. All right, so we should hit the breakpoint again. We do. So let's look at what we have here. So the new plugin. New plugin interface. And then let's compare those addresses to the current plugins. Yeah, oh sorry, plug interface. So those are the same pointers, right? The old whatever the old function pointers were are, I don't know, they're gone. The current plugin is pointing to the new interface functions that were loaded from the dynamic library. And if we look in the process function here, we can see that we're doing a bitwise not on every sample that comes through. So it should be every sample is bitwise not. But then when we resume, it's nothing's changed. It's still like using the same it's using the same function callback that it was before. So it's either the actual function pointers haven't changed, so like this was modified at 12:15. All right, if we put that back behind a parameter, build again. We hit the breakpoint again, and we can see that this was modified at 12:18. So not really sure what the deal is here. I can't print out a string. Yeah, I don't know. I'm totally bamboozled. Yeah, I mean, unless it's just the case that like somehow in the new dynamic library that's been created, the function pointers are in fact like not modified. I could break like before and after and compare the pointers, I guess. Just to like confirm that they are actually changing. Because otherwise I have no idea. And probably, I don't know. There's probably like some other fundamental issue with the library that's kind of preventing hot reloading from actually happening. I don't know. All right. Breakpoint hit. Okay, so var plug interface, var new plugin interface. Oof. Those are pointing to the same thing already. What the hell? Let's break before this assignment, like before we even check the plugin, I guess. Okay. All right, so var plug oh, we don't have plug. Var plugin. Oh, it's self plugin user. Is that a valid pointer currently? Yes. So the user's plugin interface. I can't access anything. It's just a void pointer. Or, oh no, I'm looking for, we can access the interface here. Okay. Okay, so those are the current interface pointers. And the new ones, they're the same. What? Why? Okay, there's something off with my reasoning here about how to actually reload these function pointers. So we call that init function and we get a new plugin back. Maybe we should just swap out the entire plugin. Instead of just the interface, you know? So we don't deinit that. Maybe I should just say like, hey, plug, now you point to new plugin. And then let's see. I mean, then because then we're like leaking memory. I guess we can call, because we can deinit the current plugin and then just copy the new pointer. Let's just go without any breakpoints. Let's just have at it. It's a constant. Oh, so I have to take a pointer to the pointer and then dereference it? This is kind of stupid. All right. Yeah, I'm getting really down to the wire here. Okay, so it loads. That's a good sign. All right, let's try running some audio through it. This is probably my last straw before I throw in the towel. Okay, so it's processing Bitcrushing. Okay, let's try zeroing it out. Did we crash or did we... It worked. It worked. Oh my God, of course. All I had to do was just say, this is my last try. I'm going to throw in the towel. And, oh, I think it didn't. Okay, so I think it worked only once and then it stopped working. But it definitely worked once. That's so weird. I mean, all right, that's progress for sure though, right? Hey, you know, if it worked once, it'll work a million times, right? Eventually. I just have to figure out why it didn't work the second time. I assume if I try and offline this, it'll crash. I mean, that kind of works there if I just, oh no, that doesn't work. Because it's supposed to be muted. It's very strange. It works if I like go in here and I set. You know what it's doing? It's like loading it's like loading the previous version of the. It's loading the previous version of what we built. Oh man. So if I do this, comment this out, I rebuild. It's still not like hot reloading it, but it's sort of hot reloading it. Okay. So now this is like regular. Now it's muted. I don't think it's like actually, I don't think it actually works. Warm reloading. Yeah. It's somewhere in between hot reloading and I don't know. Yeah, this is not doing anything. I feel like we're really close. So I think what I have to do here is if I want it to implement the change that I made in the last build, I have to implement the opposite of the change that I want. Just reduce the amplitude instead of silencing to see if that's a more obvious effect, I guess, yeah. Divide by 2. Okay, something else is going on. Yeah, right. Yeah, because it kind of seems like it, because it reloaded and it's just silent now. I guess it's almost like it doesn't have a function pointer. Although you would expect if it didn't have a function pointer, like it should just crash, right? Yeah, in the floating point section, I will, let's see, yeah, x times equals 0.001. Yeah, and so then it just like silences itself. It's like almost random. So it works now. Works now. Silence. That's weird. And certainly not the behavior that we are looking for. I almost wonder if I need to like just like copy this stuff by value here. That's like so stupid. I shouldn't do that. I'm doing it. All right, let's get a fresh session going here. Yeah, I know. It just like doesn't work at all. I feel like post years ago should have implemented some way of hot reloading the plugin. You know, like I feel like from a host perspective, that's like not difficult at all. I have no idea what I'm talking about also. I've never written a plugin host, so it could be much more difficult than I am like giving them credit for. And honestly, like if there were a host that would have had something like that, it would have been Reaper. And so I guess the fact that they don't have it means that it's kind of difficult. And it looks like we've segfaulted here. Heap corruption. Free list is damaged. That's not good. Kill. Okay, yeah, my little experiment there didn't actually work. We do need to... We do need to actually take a pointer to the plugin. And let's go ahead and set our breakpoints here so we can compare the addresses of the function pointers. Okay. They're the same pointer. What? Okay. I guess there's something kind of fishy going on with the loading of the dynamic library and like the actual interface that's being created there. I don't know. It's a little beyond me, but I don't know. I guess I should have known that implementing hot reloading was almost got there, but yeah, we're probably gonna have to jump into that next time because I'm kind of losing steam here and losing sanity. I was at about 5 bits of brain power earlier, and I think I'm probably at about 3. Yeah, I think I'll figure it out next time. Yeah. I might just play around with like some other, just doing hot reloading stuff in kind of like a little sandbox or something, separate from plugins, so I can just figure out like how reloading an interface would work. Yeah, so let's see what we got here. The state variables thing, I mean, we did that because, you know, we kind of ruled out that that's not necessarily something we care about doing. And then, yeah, we want to eventually implement this parameter to like have the user enter a bit mask, or custom bit mask, so they can mess around with the bits of the audio. And yeah, so I mean, really the main to do next is hot reloading. So yeah, that'll be the main chore next time. Hopefully we can get that going so we can, well, have that actually in the library, which would be pretty nice to have. And yeah, that'll make development a lot easier. But all right, yeah, till next time.